I only went home for a simple holiday lunch, but one truth outside that door gave me a son, a past I never knew, and a family I can never forgive. The winter wind felt sharp on my face as I walked up the old path toward my mother's house. The snow on the ground wasn't fresh anymore. It had been stepped on by neighbors, kids, and probably my own family as they carried dishes inside for the holiday lunch. But for me, every step felt heavy, like I was walking into a place where I didn't quite belong anymore, yet still somehow hoped I did. I held a small box in my hand, a simple gift. Nothing expensive. Just something thoughtful. I spent half the night wrapping it because I wanted it to look perfect, even though I had no idea how they would react to me showing up uninvited. They didn't call this year. Nobody checked if I was coming. Nobody asked if I was free. But I went anyway. I guess a part of me still believed that a family holiday could fix old wounds, or at least soften them. When I opened the door, the warmth of the house hit me first. The smell of roasted chicken, spices, and freshly baked bread filled the air. It should have felt comforting. It used to. But today, it only made me feel like an outsider stepping into someone else's celebration. And then I heard it. Silence. Complete silence. Everyone had stopped talking the second they saw me. My mother stood near the table, holding a serving spoon mid-air. My sister was pouring juice into glasses. My younger brother was laughing at something on his phone. But all of them froze. Except one person. She didn't freeze. She tensed. Lena. She stood by the window wearing a soft red scarf, the same color she used to wear when we were young and winter meant long walks and warm hands. The sunlight from the snowy backyard made her scarf glow like a quiet fire. Her hair was longer now, tied loosely behind her. Her eyes, the same soft brown I remembered, widened for a second. Not in joy. Not in anger. Something else. Something that looked like fear, or guilt, or both mixed together. I hadn't seen her in 7 years. 7 long years that felt like 7 different lives. But in a single second, the past came back like a wave. The nights we sat on my car hood looking at the stars. The afternoons we spent arguing about silly things. The way she used to laugh when I got overly serious. The way she cried the night she walked away without telling me why. I stood there awkwardly, still holding that stupid gift box like it meant something. Before I could say anything, my mother spoke. Her voice wasn't loud, but it cut deeper than shouting. Why are you here? The room felt colder than the outside snow. She didn't even look surprised. Just annoyed. As if I showed up to ruin everything. As if my presence was a burden she had to carry one more time. My sister set the juice down without making eye contact. My brother smirked, the way he always did when he saw me struggle, like he enjoyed it. I swallowed, trying to keep my voice steady. It's the holidays, I said softly. I just wanted to. But my mother didn't let me finish. Stop relying on the family, she said sharply. Just leave. Right now. The spoon she held clanged against the bowl as she placed it down harder than necessary. My chest tightened. For a moment, all I could do was stare at her. Not angry. Just tired. So tired of trying. A small laugh escaped me, not because anything was funny, but because sometimes pain does that. I understand, I whispered. Don't worry. Nobody said anything. Nobody stopped me. Nobody even looked guilty. Except Lena. She stood frozen near the window, her lips slightly parted, her eyes glossy, as if she wanted to say something but couldn't. Or wasn't allowed to. But I didn't ask. I didn't force anything. I just nodded and walked upstairs to the room that used to be mine. It felt smaller now. The posters were gone. The shelves were empty. Only a few things were left, things nobody cared enough to move. An old jacket, a broken watch, some books from school. I didn't bring much with me over the years, but I always kept a few clothes here in case I visited. I picked up the jacket. It still smelled like dust and old memories. As I folded my things, I heard muffled voices downstairs, laughter, plates clinking, the sound of chairs moving. They had already gone back to their celebration, as if I had never walked in, as if I had never been part of them. I took a deep breath and closed my bag. My hands were shaking, but I tried not to show it, even though there was nobody here to see. When I walked back down the stairs, my steps were slow. Not because I wanted to stay, but because I wanted to leave without letting the pain push me too fast. When I reached the bottom step, She was there, standing right in front of me. Lena, as if she had been waiting for me. Her eyes lifted slowly, and when they met mine, something inside me cracked a little. She looked unsure, almost fragile, like she was holding a truth in her hands and afraid it might shatter. "Don't go yet," she whispered. Her voice was soft, trembling. It wasn't the voice of a woman who moved on. It was the voice of someone who carried too many unsaid words. I didn't answer at first. I just looked at her, trying to understand why she cared now, after 7 years of silence. Behind her, I could hear the faint sounds of the holiday lunch continuing, like the world inside that dining room existed on a different planet. She stepped slightly to the side, giving me space but also gently blocking me from leaving. My heartbeat slowed. Her presence always did that, even when I tried to hate her. "Lena, why?" I said quietly. She didn't respond right away. She looked toward the window, the glass now fogged from the warmth. Then she looked back at me, her eyes speaking before her words did. "I need to talk to you," she whispered. "But not here." That's when I knew. This wasn't just an awkward reunion. This wasn't just a painful moment. Something was wrong. Something deeper. Something she had been carrying for years. And it was finally cracking its way to the surface. She took a shaky breath. "It's time you knew," she murmured. "About everything." For the first time that day, I didn't feel cold. I felt afraid. We stepped outside into the cold, leaving behind the warmth and noise of the house. The door closed softly behind us, but it felt like a wall had slammed shut. The world out here was different, quieter, heavier, colder not just in temperature but in the way the air sat between us. Snowflakes drifted down slowly, landing on Lena's hair and melting into tiny droplets. She hugged her arms around herself, even though she wore a thick winter coat. Maybe she was cold. Maybe she was scared. I couldn't tell anymore. For a long moment, we just stood there on the front porch, breathing out small white clouds. She kept looking at the ground, like she was afraid to meet my eyes. Finally, she took a shaky breath. "You shouldn't have come," she said softly, almost like she didn't want the wind to carry her words too far. Her voice was not angry. It was tired. Worn out. Like someone who had spent years holding something inside and didn't have the strength to keep carrying it. I swallowed hard and forced a small smile. "You invited everyone," I said quietly. "Everyone but me." She flinched, just slightly, but I noticed. "It's not what you think," she whispered. "It never is," I replied, the words leaving my mouth before I could stop them. She closed her eyes for a moment. I could see her eyelashes trembling. She looked like someone who wanted to speak but didn't know how to start. Like every sentence she could say would hurt somebody. Maybe me, maybe herself. The snow crunched under her boots as she shifted her weight. "You look different," she said suddenly, her voice so small I almost missed it. "Older. Tired." I let out a breath. 7 years will do that to you." She nodded, still not looking at me. The silence stretched between us until I couldn't take it anymore. "Why didn't you call?" I asked, my voice breaking slightly even though I tried to keep it steady. "You just left. You said you needed time. And then, nothing. You disappeared." Her breath hitched, and she looked up at me again, finally. Her eyes were red, like she had cried earlier. Maybe minutes before I arrived. "I wanted to call," she said. "I swear I did." "Then why didn't you?" I asked, the frustration slipping into my voice. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Like the truth was fighting its way out and losing. "I thought you didn't want to hear from me." "That's not true." "It is," she insisted. "At least, I believed it." Her shoulders shook a little. She wasn't pretending. She wasn't putting on a show. She was breaking apart right in front of me. "Your mother," she whispered. Something deep inside me tightened, like a rope pulling against my ribs. "My mother what?" Lena looked away again, wiping her hands on her coat even though they weren't wet. She told me things. Things I shouldn't have believed." The wind brushed past us, sending a chill across my neck. I felt suddenly alert, like someone had turned on a light inside my head. "What kind of things?" I asked. She didn't answer. Her silence felt like a confession. The snow around us was soft, muffling the world. A car drove by somewhere far away, but it felt distant, almost unreal. Here, on this porch, it was just us and the truth we were circling around like scared children afraid to touch fire. 7 years, I said again. 7 years of silence from you. With no explanations.
No closure.
Just nothing. She flinched. I know, she whispered. And I hate myself for it. Then why did you do it? I asked. She finally looked at me, really looked. Her face broke open with pain, guilt, fear, everything she had hidden behind a calm expression for so long. Because, she said, her voice barely audible, your mother told me you didn't want anything to do with me. She said you were done. That you said I was holding you back. That you wanted space. That I shouldn't come near you. Her words hit me like a blow to the chest. My mother said that. I asked, stunned. Lena nodded, her lips shaking. I believed her. I was young, confused, and she was so convincing. She spoke like she cared for me. Like she was protecting you. Protecting your future. I stared at her, trying to breathe through the sudden storm inside me. And you just trusted her. I asked. I was scared, she said. And hurt. And when she said you had already moved on, I didn't want to embarrass myself by begging for a place in your life. I closed my eyes. It felt like someone was slowly pressing a heavy weight against my chest. The more I tried to breathe, the harder it became. So you left, I said. Just like that. She nodded. And you never came back, I added. I wanted to, she whispered. 100 times. Maybe more. But she made me promise to stay away. She told me it was what you wanted. I felt heat rise inside me. Anger, betrayal, confusion. A strange mix that made my hands shake. And you believed she spoke for me. I thought she loved you, Lena said. I thought she knew what was best for you. I thought she wouldn't lie. I laughed, a short, empty sound. You thought wrong. She swallowed hard. I know. Another long silence fell between us. Not soft. Not comforting. Heavy. So heavy it felt like the snow itself bowed under its weight. Lena, I said, there's something else, isn't there? Something you're not saying. Her eyes darted away, to the house, to the door, to the window where shadows moved behind the curtains. My family was inside, laughing, eating, living a life where my existence didn't matter enough to make space for me. Her breathing grew uneven. Yes, she whispered. What is it? I asked, stepping closer. She took a tiny step back, almost like she was afraid of what would happen once the words left her mouth. It's not safe to say it here, she murmured. What do you mean, not safe? I asked, my voice sharper now. She shook her head quickly. You think they pushed you out because you rely on them, she said, her voice trembling. No. That's just what they said. But it's not the real reason. My heart thudded painfully against my ribs. Then what is the real reason? Her eyes filled again, tears she tried to blink away. They know everything, she whispered. Her voice broke on the last word. My mind raced, trying to understand. Everything? What did that even mean? Her chin trembled. She covered her mouth for a second like she was trying to hold the truth inside her body because letting it out would destroy everything around us. The snow fell harder, making soft little tapping sounds on the wooden porch. Lena, I said softly, please, just tell me. She looked at me with the eyes of someone who had been carrying a secret so heavy it bent her spine. Finally, she whispered. They know what happened 7 years ago. The words hit like a freezing wind. I could feel the ground shift under me, not physically, but inside me. Whatever she had been hiding, whatever my mother had been hiding, whatever they had kept from me, it wasn't small. It wasn't simple. It was something that connected everything. The breakup, the lies, the silence, the fear in Lena's eyes, and the sudden hatred in my family's voice when they told me to leave. I felt the truth moving closer, like a storm edging toward us. And for the first time that day, I realized the real reason they wanted me gone had nothing to do with relying on them. It had to do with the one thing they never wanted me to find out. Her words stayed hanging in the cold air like a breath that wouldn't disappear. They know what happened 7 years ago. The snow fell heavier now, landing on her eyelashes, melting as soon as it touched her warm skin. My hands felt numb, not from the weather, but from the weight of her words. My heart beat slow and heavy, as if it knew what was coming even before she said it. "Lena," I whispered, "tell me, what do they know?" She looked toward the house again. Through the window, warm yellow light spilled out. Shadows moved behind the curtains, people laughing, eating, enjoying a holiday lunch as if nothing was broken, nothing was cruel, nothing was being hidden in the snow-covered silence outside. Her voice cracked. "Not here. They'll hear us." I nodded, and she led me a few steps away, down the porch, into the yard, near the old tree where we used to sit in summers when life felt simple and full of promise. Here, the world was quieter. Only the soft whisper of falling snow surrounded us. She took a deep breath. "When I left 7 years ago," she began, "I wasn't leaving because I wanted to. I wasn't leaving because I didn't love you. I was leaving because I was pregnant." For a moment, I stopped breathing altogether. The snowflakes seemed to slow in the air. My heartbeat echoed in my ears, louder than anything around us. "Pregnant," I repeated, barely able to speak. My voice sounded distant, like it didn't belong to me. She nodded. "I found out a few weeks after our last fight. I wanted to tell you right away. I was scared, but I knew you deserved to know. I went to your family. I went to your mother because I thought she would help me talk to you." Her voice trembled harder, and she wrapped her arms around herself as if the memory was a cold wind striking her from inside. "But your mother didn't react the way I hoped. She didn't comfort me. She didn't smile. She didn't even ask if I was okay." Lena paused, blinking back tears. "She told me I was ruining your life." Something burned in my chest, anger, disbelief, betrayal. But I stayed silent, letting her continue. "She said you weren't ready for a child. That you would panic. That you would blame me. She said you had new dreams, new plans, and I was only going to hold you back." Every word cut deeper. "She said," Lena whispered, voice shaking, "that you told her you didn't want children with me. That you thought I was irresponsible, and that you were planning to leave me anyway." My heart dropped. My stomach twisted. My vision blurred. "I never said that," I said, my voice rough, breaking apart. "I know," she cried softly. "I know that now. But back then, I believed her. She spoke with so much confidence. She made it sound like she was saving you. She made me feel like the enemy." The snow around us had settled into thick white layers, but I barely felt the cold anymore. My blood was boiling and freezing at the same time. "She told me to leave," Lena continued. "She promised she would tell you everything when the time was right. She said you would reach out if you cared." She swallowed hard. "You never did." "I didn't know," I said, my voice cracking. "Lena, I didn't know. I thought you left me." She nodded slowly. "That's exactly what she wanted." "And the baby?" I whispered. Her face softened, sadness transforming into something fragile and beautiful. "A boy," she said. "His name is Noah." Hearing his name felt like someone pressing a hand against my chest, warm, painful, real. "How old?" I asked, even though I already knew. 6. 6. 6 years of first steps, first words, first birthdays. 6 years of moments I never got to see, never got to be part of. My voice shook. "Does he look like?" She smiled through tears. "He has your eyes. And your smile. And the same way of tilting his head when he's confused." Something inside me broke, not violently, but quietly, like glass slowly cracking under pressure. I wiped my face with shaking hands. "And he thinks your husband is his father." She closed her eyes. "He does. Because he raised him. Because I thought you didn't want us." Silence spread between us again, not empty, but heavy, full of everything we had lost, everything they had taken. I didn't shout. I didn't fall to my knees. I didn't blame her. Instead, I felt a strange calm settle over me, a cold clarity that made everything sharp and painfully clear. She looked at me, waiting for anger, maybe even hate. But I wasn't angry at her. I was angry at the house behind us, the warm lights, the fake laughter, the walls full of secrets. I walked back toward the house, each step slow and deliberate, Lena following behind me with hesitant footsteps. When I pushed open the door, the noise inside faded into silence. Every head turned toward me. My mother's face tightened. She looked irritated, like I had come back to spoil her afternoon. I set the small holiday gift on the table. The box suddenly felt ridiculous, a tiny symbol of hope in a room full of lies. "I just came to say goodbye," I said calmly. My mother let out a breath, relieved. Maybe she thought she had finally pushed me out for good. But I wasn't done. "Don't worry," I continued softly. "I won't rely on this family ever again." The room stilled. Forks paused mid-air. Chairs stopped moving. "But before I go," I said, turning slowly, "there's something I need to say." My mother's smile faded. "I know the truth." Her face drained of color. Lena stood quietly behind me, hands trembling. "I know about the child," I said. "I know what you did. I know you lied to both of us. You didn't protect me. You didn't protect anyone. You only destroyed a family I could have had." My mother's lips parted, but no sound came out. "You kept my son from me," I whispered. "My son." Gasps filled the room. My sister's hand dropped from her mouth. My brother looked shocked, not amused anymore. "And one day," I said, voice steady as ice, "he will know everything too." My mother finally found her voice. "You can't." "Yes," I said, cutting her off. "I can. And I will." The room froze.
No shouting, no chaos.
Just silence, the kind that hits like thunder. I picked up my bag, walked to the door, opened it. Cold air rushed in, but it felt cleaner than the air inside that house ever did. As I stepped outside, Lena whispered behind me, "What will you do?" I looked ahead at the falling snow, at the road leading away from everything that once trapped me. "I'm going to meet my son," I said quietly, "and start the life they stole from me." Then I added one final line, simple, sharp, and honest. "They took my family from me once, but now I get to choose who my real family is." And I walked away, leaving the old house and its lies behind.